The market is seeing a slight bounce here during the weekend, and we really need to see how things look on Monday, aka tomorrow, with stocks reopening. Now, I will say one of the most important things right now with this weekly candle close is XRP closing above $2. It seems very likely at the moment. We'll have to see how things go throughout the day, but it really is determined by what Bitcoin wants to do as well. But overall, if we can manage to close above $2, structure on XRP will be looking very, very good. And then also, of course, with Bitcoin, the main thing that I have been addressing with Bitcoin, ultimately with the weekly candle close, is just closing above recent resistance going all the way back to March and April. If we can manage to close above this level, it will be very bullish, because if we close above those resistance levels going all the way back to March, then we could potentially build a floor on resistance, flip it into support, and then continue from here. It's not going to be just a straight line up. However, I do expect us to potentially retest the all-time high and possibly break out. Now, like I said, it's not going to be a straight line up. It's most likely going to be very similar to, this back here, where we do start to, chop. We start to, build, a nice little uptrend essentially. Might even reject some resistance here and there, but ultimately I'm expecting us to jump to the upside, retest previous highs, and even break out. We'll have to see what happens here, but I'm mainly focused on XRP and what XRP is doing, especially going into this upcoming week, because it's going to be a very big week for XRP, and we'll definitely address that. Now, first, real quick, I want to say, obviously you guys are watching the YouTube video, so this is for those that are watching, maybe had to look my channel up, maybe had to manually go to my channel and find this video. I want to quickly say that the strike that YouTube gave me back in October is still on my channel. It seems as though YouTube, potentially even shadow banned my channel as well because of the strike. Because again, I have been seeing a lot of people commenting, or even telling me and reaching out saying, hey, like something's going on with YouTube. I had to manually look up your channel, and I wasn't getting recommended your videos anymore. I wasn't getting notifications. So again, if you guys don't have notifications turned on, I do advise all of you to do so. If you're still not getting notifications, I do apologize. Just know that I will be uploading every single day unless there's something wrong with YouTube or something, happened. I always tell you guys if something happened, but if you don't hear from me, it's because YouTube, essentially gave me another strike and I'm down. So, hopefully things are fine from this point on, and maybe it is just my channel being shadow banned, which is fine. But I just wanted to give you guys an update about this. But beyond that, let's dive on in. So again, like I said, this is going to be a pretty big week for XRP. The question here is, with this upcoming week, are we going to see the same exact reaction? Which we'll talk about that as well. But Bitwise did put out a post on the 21st regarding the day one end of day report regarding the Bitwise XRP ETF. 25.7 million in trading volume, 107.6 million in assets under management, 0.34% management fee, with the fee set at 0% for the first month on the first 500 million in assets. Let's go. Yeah, this is a pretty big launch. Obviously it's not the same as, Canaries with over 58 plus million trading volume, but it is still a very good launch. We did see from the CEO from Bitwise, day one inflows into the Bitwise XRP ETF, $107 million. The ticker is XRP in a brokerage account. Yeah, it's very, in my opinion, when we think about this amount of trading volume, when we think about the inflows, it goes without saying that XRP has been a very successful XRP product. I do find it insane that we don't have Fidelity, BlackRock, and all of these other big players lining up for an XRP ETF. But hey, I'm fine with it, because if the smaller guys like Bitwise and Canary and things like that, right, if they can be very successful in their launches and it shows us that we don't need BlackRock. We don't need these big players to launch an ETF product around XRP. Would it be great to have BlackRock on board? 100%. But the main thing that we're focused on here is just how successful XRP has been with names much smaller than BlackRock. Now, on top of that, Grayscale, they told us on the 19th that the XRP ETF is coming. We just got this fully locked in. We see over here from Chad, the Grayscale XRP ETF is locked and loaded on Charles Schwab. Go for launch on Monday. And yeah, we did get the approval. I have it over here from Bank XRP. We have NYSE Arca has officially certified the listing of the Grayscale XRP Trust ETF on November 21st. The exchange notified the SEC that the ETF is approved for trading under the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Another major step in bringing XRP products to mainstream markets. And Grayscale is definitely a big name. They've always been around the crypto space forever. This is just another ETF launch to add to the list. We're going to be watching all of these and see how the inflows look throughout the week. But, we're going to have at least 4, it seems, ETFs trading live on Monday if everything works out. So that's going to be a significant amount of inflows. It's going to be a significant amount of XRP volume as well. I'm very excited to see how all of this looks come Monday. The best part about it is it feels as if there's an ETF race going on around XRP, which is very bullish. If you are holding XRP, if you've been holding XRP for a while, then this should be exciting to you. Why? Because they're all spot-based ETFs, which means they affect the spot-based value of XRP. They affect the volume around XRP, and they also affect the supply of XRP. It might not be immediate because remember, with ETFs, they do buy later, but it's still showing us that large portions of XRP will be vanishing off of exchanges. Now, talking about that and talking about the future market, I do quickly want to bring up something real quick from DCENT Wallets. So for those that don't know, they are having a Black Friday sale from now up until December 3rd. And you could save now, secure your crypto forever. If you guys do want to tap into this, there's a 40% off sale on the double package, a 30% off sale on the single package. So if you guys do want to tap into cold storage devices, it's the perfect time to, buy, especially around the holidays. Maybe somebody that's in the crypto space and you want to buy them a gift. This is one of the best gifts that you can get them. So if you guys do want to tap into this, there's going to be 2 links down in the description below. That should take you right to the DCENT website. And that way you could save up to 40% off. Now, beyond that, let's talk a little bit about Franklin Templeton and Grayscale, because, Grayscale going live on Monday is definitely a big one. $40 billion in assets under management. But then we have Franklin Templeton as well. $1.5 trillion in assets under management. Like I said, if you are holding XRP and you're starting to see, XRP vanish off of exchanges because of how much inflows and how much volume is there, it gets you very excited about the future because, again, I don't think that there is enough XRP out there in the world. A lot of people always say, 100 billion, that's ridiculous. That's way too much supply. When you have institutionalization happening around crypto, a very early space, and you only have 100 billion tokens, okay, and that supply is getting eaten up from retail buy-in, institutional players buy-in, DeFi products, liquidity pools, not to mention, right, the actual underlying use of the network. You have the supply getting eaten up from so many different directions. But when you have names like Franklin Templeton launching ETF products, it gets you very excited because we already see how many inflows there were with Canary. We already know how successful Bitwise was. Do we think that Franklin Templeton is going to be much more successful than those two? In my opinion, it would make sense. We'll have to see what happens. But it feels as if happening tomorrow, we could start to see a very big change around XRP. That change is the fact that with all of these issuers going live, the supply is going to diminish greatly. I've said it a million times over. When we think about the supply already, Chad put out a great post regarding it. This was the total 7 trading days that the ETFs were live. 205, almost 206 million XRP already locked up around these ETFs. That is crazy to think about. That's just in 7 days during a down market. Okay? And if we're thinking about that, that is 1 week. That is 820 million XRP in 1 month off of exchanges. Almost 10 billion XRP gone in 1 single year if this volume continues. Now, mind you, this is just from 2 ETFs. We have an additional almost 10 upcoming. This is wild. Now, talking about that, let's go over here to Coach TY. All right. We have breaking. XRP just got its biggest validation yet. This is Sal Gerberti, the CEO of ethereum Trading, just said it on CNBC. Hundreds of millions in inflows into 2x leveraged XRP fund in only 16 weeks. Investors want leverage and they're choosing XRP. The XRP army is an unstoppable force. Blockchain adoption today feels like the internet in the 90s. A massive boom beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum is coming. Institutional money is no longer coming. It's already here. If XRP is catching this level of attention on Wall Street, imagine what happens when the next liquidity wave hits. Check this out.
That Dom Chu has today's ETF Edge as advertised. Hey, Dom.
All right, so Scott, from adoption driven by Washington to a 10-year birthday coming later on this week, there's a lot going on in cryptocurrencies. Joining me now is Sal Gilberti, the president and CEO of ethereum Trading. This is an interesting development. You're one of the firms out there that runs a slate of ETFs, but one of them is a levered fund tied to the value of a big cryptocurrency, and that's XRP. Just what can you tell us about how much investor interest there is in XRP and, of course, a levered instrument to it?
Well, thank you, Dom. There's enormous interest in XRP. They call it the XRP Army, and I realize they call it that for a reason. We launched this fund. It'll be 16 weeks tomorrow, and the money that's come in is quite extraordinary. Hundreds of millions of dollars have come in. It's our most successful fund. We're 16 years old today when I incorporated the company, coincidentally, and we've never seen a response like that.
How did you make the turn? Because the slate of products you have are mainly agricultural based, and then you decide to venture out into cryptocurrency, specifically XRP. What was the thinking there?
Well, we had filed for Bitcoin before, and we do have crypto interests, and I'm an XRP enthusiast. And when I saw the opportunity to file and get it approved, and really not holding XRP itself, but holding the derivatives so that we could leverage it and give investors what they want. They clearly want some leverage. We got a great ticker, double XRP, XXRP, and it took off. It was a big hit immediately, right out the door.
And if you could put on a forecasting hat, as somebody who looks at the fund flows, looks at the industry, where do you think else in the crypto sphere is ripe for even more activity with regard to cryptocurrencies that's outside the realm of XRP, Ethereum, and of course, Bitcoin?
Honestly, I think picking the next coin is harder than people need to catch the wave of what crypto and the blockchain is doing to business. This really is the internet in the 1990s. I think there's a sea change coming, and picking the companies that are going to use whatever cryptocurrency comes next is going to be the big trick and the trick to big wealth.
Do you think that there is going to be an ETF boom in companies in that ecosystem?
No question.
All right. All right, Sal Gilberti, we're going to continue this conversation with Sal over at etfedge.cnbc.com.
So yeah, listen, when we are looking at what's happening here, obviously there is a growing appetite around XRP from Wall Street. And what's crazy about this is, I think that the next wave here will be institutionalization of the space. I mean, we're already starting to see institutional players lining up around institutional DeFi services. So, it makes a lot of sense for the next wave here to be institutional players launching products around specific things like DeFi, tokenization, stablecoins. So this is going to be a very exciting time in this market, in my opinion. And we have so many additional ETFs launching, but I'm looking at beyond the ETF craze. What happens after the ETFs? Because remember, this is just a small phase. This is just the start of this. BlackRock hinted at tokenizing ETFs. Then they also hinted at every single financial asset being tokenized. That's the next wave after the ETF craze. And I'm very excited about that next wave. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.